Back from the dead. Okay, well, I was never actually gone, but on this, platform, I have been. And it's been now almost 2 weeks since my last video. I'm working on a video right now. My schedule kind of changed a little bit, so how I'm getting time to work towards that video right now is also changing. But I did film not a recap, but I did do a post dub analysis. On the Apple AI. Apple Intelligence. Oh man. Anyway, so the AI part, I have a dedicated video I filmed. I actually filmed it more than once. I was filming it during the day, like today, right now, and my neighbor, is building a new deck, and so they have these contractors over, and they've been working on it all last week, and I could not focus, and it was I listened to the playback, it was getting picked up on the mic, and I'm like, okay, I'll just do this at night, and then life becomes life, you get busy, but I did film it at night afterwards, and now I just got to edit it. It's a longer video than it was initially planning, but it is what it is. I got to edit that. So yeah, before I get more into that, I'm here. Hello, hi guys. This video or podcast, depending how you're listening to this, is going out same day. Basically, when I get done filming this, I'm going to edit the audio really quickly. You're gonna see. Well, you guys already saw it, but I'm gonna put my intro and stuff like that, and yeah, I'll get this out as soon as I'm done filming this. I don't know how long we are going to film today. Normally, these episodes are under an hour, and cool, but we'll see how far this goes. I'm going to recap, but we're going to talk about 3 things today. First one is where I've been. Next, well, I'll go over it, but we got 3 things we're going to talk about today, and the last one's going to be about in a podcast form. We are going to talk about iPad. Yes, we're going to talk about the iPad. Oh, the iPad. But anyway, first, where I've been. Okay, I've been here, literally like here, but I've also been on travel. Immediately after I filmed my last video, last Monday, not even this past Monday, but last Monday, so almost 2 weeks ago, that was my last free day. I got really busy. I've been more or less busy ever since with appointments. I actually had people over from a whole different community, has nothing to do with tech, but YouTubers nonetheless. And we used my studio for filming because I was a guest for that one, but I've also been helping on the back end with that particular YouTube. So when that video gets done and edited, I'm not the editor. I wasn't even the cinematographer for it. This particular one, I was just a guest, and we used my studio for that. So we rearranged everything in the office. It's, I think if it's done how I think it's gonna look, at least when it's set up, it's gonna look pretty cool. But I will tease more. Well, I'll stop teasing. I will promote it once it gets released, which I don't know what the release schedule is, but it will get done. It was a very more or less professional environment, which I thoroughly enjoyed. We had a camera guy here who's doing all the stuff production-wise. We had the host, and then you had me, and we used this environment. But it didn't look like this. The desk was up against. Never mind. We'll talk more about that later. I'll probably pimp it out once that video comes out. So anyway, then that happened, and then at the exact same time, simultaneously while all this is happening, I had a very, very old friend, someone I've known for 20 years, come into town. He's here for training. I grew up with him. We lived together. We went to high school together. We are, in every sense of the word but blood, we are brothers. And I haven't seen him in a very long time because he lives out of the country right now. He lives with his family out in Japan. So he's here for training, and he's been here for 2 weeks. And every free moment I had that was not with appointments or scheduled events or with working with other people, or anything with my family. Every free moment I had was allocated towards him. And that involved a lot of traveling because he was staying somewhere that was about an hour and a half away from me. So I had to go grab him. He didn't have any means of transportation because they threw him in a hotel, and he was there to do his training for 2 weeks. And had he just been there for the 2 weeks, it would have been brutal. So I picked him up last weekend, brought him back here, and we hung out for the whole weekend. If you're following me on Instagram, then you know this. So there's that. My personal Instagram, not the Randy Nexus Instagram. But if you're following me, then you already know this story. But we hung out, and wouldn't you know it, it's like the 20 years never happened. We picked up right where we left off. We're still ourselves the way we are, and we actually filmed some stuff too, which one of them I am editing. I think the other one he's editing. We like to do like little skits and stuff like that. We have always been creative minds, both in the visual department as well as even like music. He played the piano with me, so we always liked expressing ourselves in a creative outlet. And the difference between back then and now is now, in the time where as adults we got to hang out, we have this. We have cameras. We have the means to record and work and just be, showcase our creativity. So we did a little skit, a reenactment, if you will, and we were just having fun. We were just screwing around. Nothing serious by any means. It's not a real production. We were just trying out some new lenses that he had bought for his iPhone, which is really cool. So I got to reconnect with him in that way, and now I'm pretty sure we're going to be hanging out a lot more. We have to find a way to make an Asia trip work so I can go visit him and his family, who I've already met. I know them, but I haven't seen them in years. So I can go visit him and his family, and then this time maybe he'll come back out here with his family. That doesn't have to do with training, and then it's good. Stay connected with those old roots. If you have an old friend that you've known forever, just water those plants too. They're just as vital and as important. And it was very refreshing. He left this morning actually, so I took him to the airport like 4:00 in the morning, something like that, and now he's gone. So that means I have time, and I'm filming on a Saturday. Wait, it is Saturday, right? Yeah, it is Saturday. And normally I filmed on a Friday, but I'm changing some stuff up because the second thing I want to talk about is the production of all this stuff. That's the second thing. And then the third thing, we'll talk about iPad. So, production. Nothing's... let me rephrase that. This is not stopping, first of all. Just putting that out there. My schedule is changing, though. There's a lot of moving elements at the home front, I should say, that's happening. One I've already talked about. I'm pretty sure I said on the podcast, but like I'm building a new deck myself. Actually, it was my neighbor who started tearing down theirs that told me, he's like, I bought this house and I have a really old deck that I can see. It's old wood and came with the original build of the house, and the wood is rotten and all that. So I'm building a new deck, and I'm getting my home. I'm making my house more of a home. My home. I'm tailoring it to me, just like my basement studio thing, right? So there's a lot of things that's pulling me to the side, away from this, that is important that I need to do, stuff like that, and then other things. So because of that, one of the things that's going to change, and by change I mean be more emphasized and present, is there's a good chance I'm going to be this podcast, Tech is Art podcast, was meant to be a companion app for whatever videos I put out that week. I haven't put out a video in almost 2 weeks. I'm trying to get this video out, the one I'm editing now, for Apple Intelligence, but I decided to film this first because this is a quicker turnaround. And the reason why there's going to be now more of this, which is where I'm getting at, is it's quicker turnaround. I've always designed this channel to be about high turnaround so I can get the content and the information out there. And I don't like explaining things like I'm doing right now, but it's been a 2-week gap, and I thought I could get more content out, and I can't. But what I can do is do this very quickly. Right now, I'm about 10 minutes in, right? And now, when I get this done, however long this goes, all I do is put like a compression on my audio, and get that ready for podcasts as well, for audio only. So I put compression. I do levels for the audio, and I just put my animation. I export it, go, and then as it's uploading, I make my thumbnail, and there's the content. Very, very quick. So the Tech is Art podcast might be happening more than once a week now, because if I have the information I want to get out to you guys, it just means it's going to have to be an unedited video. And I don't know why I do this, but my brain changes. It might be the headphones I'm wearing. I don't know. But my presentation on how I execute the content in a podcast form, I do things differently, right? As opposed to when I'm doing an edited video, I'm doing this like, well, here we are. Like everything about my presentation changes because I know I'm making an edited video. I'm still going to make edited videos, but I think I want to take my time a little bit more with the edited videos, just a little bit. So while we wait for those dedicated edited videos, if I have something I want to, push out quicker, and by that I do mean same day. I'm filming Saturday. This is releasing Saturday. It is what it is. Whenever you listen to this or watch this, that's up to you. But I could get the information out there and then work on this, on the edited video on the side. And I have a lot of things I want to cover. Stuff that might have to be edited. I don't know yet. But so it's quicker for me to do this because I do not have that much free time, is where I'm getting at with this, is I just don't have that much free time. I had somebody message me, hey, where you at? Why aren't you on the Taylors of Tech podcast or Taylors of EV podcast? And I'm like, well, I am. I did a post dub recap, but it's genuinely just, it's a scheduling thing. They just put out an episode this week that I'm not on. Well, excuse me. So we did the recap one, and it was me and Drew, and now there's another one with Drew and Mike, and I'm like halfway through because I like watching it as a fan or listening to it as a fan as I'm being productive, and as Mike is recapping, it's just we're alternating shifts. It's an alignment thing. It's an issue, but if or when we can make that happen, it will happen, but it's much quicker and easier on my end to just film locally the video or the audio, record the audio and get it out, and there's that. So if I can't make it to a Taylosive podcast, it is a scheduling thing, not a production thing, or as some people I think were alluding, it's not a personal thing. It's just strictly scheduling. It's tricky, and we will find our footing when we can. It is what it is. I want to talk about the tech stuff and the EV stuff too, so that's where this will come in as my own monologue thing that I pretty much do anyway on the podcast. When I get into something, I start monologuing anyway. So there you go. So we got that. Real quick, I'm just thinking about the Taylors of Tech podcast. My friend who was out visiting me, his name's Adam, so I'm just going to refer to him as Adam going forward. Adam was telling me, as we were filming on his 15 Pro, he has a 15 Pro. He just recently bought one. He was so ecstatic. He's coming from a Samsung. I was like, good. And he has a Japanese phone number, but we can iMessage each other just fine on our phone to phone. I saved this profile. We did the little contact card thing that came out for iOS 17. We bloop and changed our contacts for each other, and now we're texting each other, which is way better than how we were communicating before, which was through Instagram. And I have notifications turned off for Instagram because I don't like any notifications, period. But text messages are a little bit different. So we're sending files now back and forth and all that stuff. And Adam was telling me, he's getting more into the creative side of things, which is why we got to we found a new connecting thread of a very strong foundation in our friendship about content creation. He is now slowly working his way. He wants to do content creation. Nothing to do with tech, though he likes the tech. He likes, what's the word? Storytelling. He likes narrating. And his Instagram, so far, he has a personal Instagram that's out there. Screw it. I'm just going to, at this point, I'm just going to put it in the description. If you want to check out my friend's Instagram and see what he's about, I'm putting it in the description for both the podcasts and for YouTube. So you can go give him a follow And he doesn't even know I'm doing this. I don't even know if he watches these. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. He's not going to see it when they come out because he's traveling for 24 hours. That's how long it's going to take him to get home. So I don't even know if he's going to see this. But yeah, I'll pimp him out. Go check out his stuff. He likes to narrate things from viewer suggestions and stuff like that. And he says he wants he's getting his footing on Instagram, but he wants to move to YouTube as well. So we were talking about all that, and he was like, "Man, I like doing podcasts." And he had a podcast with some people he did for 6 months as a test pilot to see how it would work. And he watched, unbeknownst to me, he was watching my podcast with my friends, the Tales of Tech and EV podcast. He's like, "This is really good stuff." And so he was quoting things back to me that we have done on our podcast. I was like, that's kind of cool. And he's like, "You guys are the reason why I went to iPhone in the first place, and you got me on a 15 Pro, and I have not looked back." And I was like, that's sick. That's so cool. Because he wants to do cinematography. I was like, bro, no phone is better than the iPhone when it comes to cinematography or anything with the video codecs for iPhone. It's just so optimized. He's like, I know. And so he bought all these little accessory lenses he attached. He had like a gimbal. Like my guy had a full like set for mobile where you hold the camera and it has like lighting and mics and all these things, and he has these different lenses. And so we were playing with it. So that's why we filmed a few skits, or we did some reenactments on some of our favorite films and our favorite scenes on those films. This is how nerdy we are. I'm just going to say this part and then we'll move on. We're so nerdy that in 2005 through 2006, we spent the whole year, almost frame for frame, we reenacted, because we were actually doing a play. We were scheduled to do a play, so we spent a whole year training for the play. We reenacted, frame for frame, Star Wars Episode 3, the Anakin versus Obi-Wan fight. Frame for frame. We had a different story that we put in there, but at the end of it, we did. We were doing swords and stuff. We went to Comic-Con. At the time, you know, we're living in San Diego, both of us, and we used to go to Comic-Con all the time and bought master replica lightsabers. And we've always been theater kids. Well, okay, it wasn't theater, but that goes to show our commitment. We spent a year just doing that. And when we weren't doing that, we were playing Halo 2 until Halo 3 came out. Then we played Halo 3, but we really played Halo 2 a lot. And my CD for my original Xbox for Halo 2 had a scratch on it. And when we played it, we went through the campaign on Legendary. And if you know this about Halo, or if you even care, you're already here. So just hear me out. If you're already almost 20 minutes into this and you're listening to this, just hear me out. Humor me. We were playing the campaign for co-op on Legendary. And if you remember this about Halo 2, when one of the player dies, there's no respawn point. You go back to the last checkpoint that was saved. And that is brutal. And we never were able to finish the final mission of the campaign because right when you kill Tartarus, he died. When he dies, there's supposed to be a cutscene. But the scratch on my CDs, when he died, it just went and it just froze. And when that first happened, we were like, no! We were so mad. Ah! Years later, when it happened, we're like, hey, good game. All right, cool. Want to go play something else now? And that's just what we did. Well, I have the Master Chief Collection. Master Chief Collection? I have MCC. Yeah, I have the Master Chief Collection for Xbox. He came over, and I said, before we do anything, 20 years in the making, we owe ourselves to finish this fight. We're going to finish the fight. I need a weapon. So, we put on Halo 2, just went to the very last mission. We didn't do the whole campaign. We just did the last mission for the campaign on co-op. Played it on Legendary. Took us 3 hours and 15 minutes, according to the log. And we finally finished it. I was like, yes. Weight lifted off our shoulders. That's the type of friend he is. That's the type of history him and I have. 14-year-old Randy was like, good job. You know, I did that for him. So anyway, all that to really say where I was getting at with the whole Talos of Tech and iPhone thing is that he found our information valuable, informative, and he made an appropriate judgment call based off of his needs. And then he brought his whole kit because he was making content while he was here. Outside of our little skits and stuff like that. I actually did one right here at this very desk, and he filmed something. And if you see one of his videos on Instagram, it's my studio space because we filmed it. But anyway, that's the power of the podcast. I see sometimes that it reaches people I wouldn't even know, even those as close to me as he is. And that's why I can't stop. And that's why I will be doing more Taylor's podcasts when our schedule aligns, and when I can't do that, I'm doing this. So information needs to get out. With that, let's move on to the third and final thing with information. We're going to talk about the iPad. We're going to talk about iPad OS for a uninterrupted, however long this goes. But I did watch the keynote. Okay, I watched the keynote live, and I almost was able to film immediately with Drew right afterwards. And then my son woke up from his nap. I was like, never mind, can't do that. So I didn't have the time. But I did watch it, and I took notes. And what I find the most... I was obviously more focused on the AI thing, which is why I have a dedicated video. An edited video I'm still working on a little bit. But the other thing I want to talk about, and I don't know if I want to do a dedicated edited video, but I can do it like this, is I want to talk about my understanding of iPad OS. Because first and foremost, I got my iPad right here, obviously. 2018 iPad Pro 13-inch. I'm calling it 13-inch. I don't care what you say. I said the very last video that I make my promise that if they addressed my issues, I would get the new iPad. And I meant that. They didn't address any of my issues. They introduced brand new cool features. Cool. Sweet. But I'm not interested in the generative AI thing. A little bit of a spoiler if you're watching this before my Apple Intelligence. I'm not that fully interested today in 2024. I did a recap with Drew, so a lot of this isn't that new if you've caught that podcast. But I was interested in what the hardware was going to be capable of with the new software, specifically an M4 iPad Pro. Apple. And nothing came from it. They didn't even attempt to address the file management. And I wasn't going to tell you guys this. I'm on everything I love here. This is what I'm trying to convey to you. I wasn't even going to tell you this, but if Apple had just addressed file management, not the other stuff, just a more streamlined file management, the way Snazzy Labs had articulated it so clearly. I saw a video with 9 to 5 Mac talking about it, and they said it so elegantly. Had they fixed file management even a little bit, I probably would have caved and got an M4, thinking, all right, we're in the right direction. And that's me compromising on what I need to be fixed with an iPad. And when they first started, the very first thing that Craig talked about was the 3 dots on the top, like that little area is like, oh, if you have a tab bar, you click on it and now it becomes a sidebar, which I'm looking as we speak. I'm looking on my Mac and I see it from my files where I got my favorites and then iCloud, like I got all my little tabs. I'm like, are we going somewhere with this? And it didn't get, all it did was like, you can either move it to the left or you can move it up top. I don't even really know what that means. And I rewatched it just to make sure, like, what? I don't even know what that was supposed to. What's that fixing? I don't know. Uh, but it didn't address anything. So now my 2018 iPad Pro is going to live with me a lot longer, happily. I'm gonna get like the little paper-like thing for the screen because I always do that. I'm always dropping the pencil. I'm gonna be using the Apple Pencil a lot more, and I like to have a little bit of that resistance. So I'm going to just kind of put one more. This accessory has been so well thought out for years with the keyboard and the pencil, and now I need the screen protector ish. And I'm just gonna stick with this happily. It's everything that I want it to be. I don't care about the generative AI capabilities that are coming to the M chip iPads. Not right now. But that is a conversation for a separate day. So I watched a long podcast, a 2-hour podcast. I think it was filmed live. I don't know if it was aired live, but it's called, I think, The Talk Show, I believe. They've done it every year, I think, for the last 3 years. I'm going to verify this as we speak. I just open up and I see the Taylor Swift Tech podcast. I'm like, look at him go. Yeah, The Talk Show Live from WWC 2024. Daring Fireball is the YouTube channel. And it had Craig, Jaws, and one of these other guys, his name's John. He came on to talk about the AI stuff. But before they talked about the AI stuff, they talked about the OSs and what, they were just recapping, and maybe even further detail. They were talking about Dub and the event, specifically the announcements. And then they got to iPad, and the host was talking about, and his name is John as well. John was talking about the old keynote from maybe like 2018 or whenever, talking of merging macOS and iPadOS, and then the big old no that Craig had up there, and they said there has been resurfacing conversations of it again now, and it seemed like maybe the host was alluding that maybe he might have fell in that same camp. He's like, is there still a talk with that or no? And they proceeded to talk about the purpose of iPad. And they used an analogy about a car and a truck doing different things fundamentally, but they have the same engine. And I used to think that maybe the utility product would be the iPad because of the Apple Pencil and the touchscreen capabilities and the precision. And it seems to me that analogy was referring to the Mac being the utility vehicle, the truck. And they are not interested. Craig said, I don't want my iPad and my Mac. I use both of them about 50% equally. And I understand that sentiment. I do, because I find myself, I use my my MacBook strictly for this, guys. If I'm not doing this, I'm doing music, which, by the way, I'm getting so much done in the music front. I will have announcements soon on my main artist channel on YouTube and anywhere else. So if you're interested in that stuff, if you know what my music's about, I got updates soon that are coming. I'm watching an airplane as we speak just land. There's a flight path. And anyway, so I use my Mac for work, like work, this type of work, creative outlet work. And it's just a way better optimized OS for multitasking, file management, and I don't know, efficiencies in my productivity, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So I get that, and when I'm not doing that, I'm either on my phone or I'm on my iPad. And if I'm on my iPad, it's because I'm trying to actually use the bigger screen real estate for stuff, which I do. So I get what Craig was talking about. And before this podcast thing had came out and I just watched, I had told Drew in a recap, so a day after, I think. Same day or day after. Anyway, sitting on it, and after watching the keynote, I finally understand iPad OS's purpose. For a while, you would have heard me said, I accept the iPad for what it is, and I use the iPad for what it is, and I'm not trying to get any more out of it, and that is true. But I was struggling with iPad OS up until I saw the keynote, and now I understand. And I'm not trying to say something specific to the iPad with the AI tools, because that's also coming to Mac and iPhone, but the iPad OS to me now is not a pro. When we talk about iPad Pro or anything like that, the iPad OS is not meant for me. And what I mean video creators, music creators. It's not meant for the Mac replacement. It's not meant to multitask the same way. It is a tool, a very powerful tool for applications. I used to quote the Steve Jobs saying when he announced iPad of enhancing. When the iPad came out, it's like we found something in the middle between notebook and iPhone, and we were calling it iPad. It's like we had two choices. Do we downscale, his words, scale down the Mac OS X software, or do we upscale iOS? And they went with upscaling iOS. And I think what I was waiting for the longest time was the upscaling to not just blur the line between Mac and iPhone, but to supersede it. You know, a Mac interface has been around for 40 years. 40 years. Yeah. Think about it. 1984. Macintosh. So I thought that its legacy, the software is good, but two more generations of people have been born since then who use iPad and iPhone, and they make it work. And I always thought iOS or any prefix device was going to get with their OS the modern day tools, and they didn't. They just kept improving Mac, which I welcome, because I am, as you can see on my desk, I am a keyboard and mouse user, not a trackpad. I love the mouse. I use the mouse. So, but I'm an older generation at this point too, to a degree. I'm not an elder millennial. I'm just a millennial, born in the 90s, and I am stuck in my ways, but I'm open-minded about new ways. But what I failed to understand up until this past week was the upscaling of iOS is built on the architecture of applications, not the system. Mac, on the other hand, is built off of its system. And I love the playground of Mac OS and that whole system. Oh, an iPad is just an upscaled iOS. It is the best and most powerful tool for applications, not for the system. I find that every app I need to use for the most part is accessible on my iPhone and thus on the iPad, from financials to content creation to video editing to entertainment like YouTube or Netflix or whatever, to social media, to communication, to FaceTime, you name it, everything but a phone app. And now we're getting a calculator. Whoop! Excuse me. Ooh, big burp. I don't know why that whoop made me burp. Anyway, everything that's on the iPhone is on the iPad, and I do use my iPhone probably the most out of all my devices. I use iPhone the most. Which is why I like using the iPad. I get it. I use the iPad to monitor my son when he sleeps. We have a camera in his room, specifically for baby monitoring. So it has certain vitals and all that appear on the screen. And there is a iPad and iPhone app for it, but not a Mac. Not a Mac app. So I do understand. And for everything that's not content creation, iPad OS is great for applications. But I don't know. I tend to not care about iPad when afterwards they go over Mac. Yeah, because Mac came afterwards. They went over Mac, and the first thing that Mac can do is mirror your iPhone, your whole continuity, iPhone continuity. So you had continuity cam, now you have continuity iPhone, which is the coolest freaking thing ever. Period. Just outright. Period. Craig talked on that same podcast I was talking about, the talk show one, that you could do continuity cam and do something while also mirroring your iPhone and working off of it at the exact same time simultaneously. And I'm like, so all you really need is a Mac for your iPhone. Like, buy the phone, have the have the your phone number, activate it, and then just do everything off of a MacBook Air. Get the lightest MacBook Air, and you could do everything off of that. And that, in turn, does all iPhone, and thus iPad, and Mac. And so the best device, by far, is macOS, is a Mac. The most convenient and most optimized for everything is iPhone. And when I talk about it, I talk about the cameras, right? These cameras, man. If a MacBook got these cameras, then nobody needs an iPhone. But yeah, so I get it, but I feel like it's a little bit too. I'm too cluttered around my desk with the iPad and the iPhone and the Mac and my Apple Watch and my AirPods. I just why am I all thumbs today? I don't know. Give me a second. Hang on. All right. I'm back. AirPods. And then I got my AirTag. You know what I wanted from Dub? I just wanted an update on AirTags. That's it. I'm joking. I don't care about AirTags. But yeah, iPad. Man, I don't know how much more I can talk about in edited videos, even though it gets high engagement. I have to revise my thinking on macOS on iPad. I don't really know how I'm going to go about that. I don't know how I'm going to present my new thoughts on it. I don't know if I'm ready to accept iPad for what it is. But for the first time since iPad's existence, I now understand iPad OS. Yeah. And we don't have to wait till next year to move apps wherever you want on the home screen or tailor the skin. You know, if you wanted to make everything the same colored skin or something, we don't have to wait for all that. It all comes out at the exact same time. Sweet. So now we got nothing to look forward to next year with iPad except iPad itself. But I do wonder then. It makes me think that, does this mean iPad is furthermore going to try to diverge itself, since it's not waiting to adopt anything else from iPhone? What's there left to do with iPad, right? Maybe maybe next year. My dog is hacking. Anyway, what's there left? Like, iPad now has everything iPhone has in applications, even how the AI will run off of it. And in some senses, you can make the case it's better because of the multi input methods with the trackpad and keyboard, with the Magic Keyboard or the pencil. Drew says in elegant words that the iPad is just meant to sell the pencil. And I get it, because I don't know if I could use an iPad without a pencil now. Sorry, Steve Jobs. The stylus counts. Stylus lives matter, I guess. So there's my quick summary with iPad, what it's about for me in the OS department. And I'm not going to upgrade. I can't. Maybe if an opportunity comes where I see a very affordable M1 iPad, maybe. But I've seen the horror stories of, I have a studio display. If I take the Thunderbolt cable and I plug it into an M chip iPad, and it doesn't repeat. It's not a mirroring of the screen. It's just pushing it out. I've seen the file management just sucking, like sucking really bad. I don't want to deal with that. Why can't you just close the lid and then run iPad off of a bigger screen? You can already pair peripherals, so have a trackpad if you want. Why not? I don't know. I suspect there's something new or maybe more innovative coming to iPad in the future. And my first thought is like, what if you use the Apple Pencil writing on a trackpad the way you can use your finger to sign stuff on a trackpad? What if you did that while it's docked to a studio display and you're just going like this and you're like, oh, okay, and you can write and sign or whatever, and it's in a clamshell mode. These are all my thoughts, but I don't know. And I don't really necessarily care. I'll give you one more spoiler about what I covered in the video I recorded for Apple Intelligence. That will come out hopefully soon. I'm not running any of the betas. Not on the iPhone, not on the iPad, not on the MacBook Pro. I don't really necessarily care. None of the features I'm interested in is even activated right now, so maybe that helps. But I don't care about moving the apps around. I don't care about having custom skin for the apps. Mainly because my iPhone, just for clarity, my iPhone, when I open it, the wallpaper has my son right there. So I don't have apps up there anyway because I just like looking at him when I'm on the phone. So it's fine. I'm not interested in readjusting things. So no betas for me. Not really excited about the beta program. There's nothing. I can't access the AI capabilities except on the Mac. But I don't really care. At the end of the day, I just don't really care. I care more about just I don't know. I don't care, not in a negative way. I'll end it like this. I don't care in a I'm not saying that to be negative. I don't care because everything seems to be optimized really, really well right now. I am not eager to get away from something that's broken. Because nothing's broken. My workflow works just fine. There's nothing I'm like, I need to get that feature. I don't. That's what I mean by I don't care. And that's a good thing. That means the systems as they stand are optimized. They're mature. They're running great. And I'm a happy customer. I don't need to dabble in betas. I'm the reality distortion field is not that it's no longer there. It's I just have a clear understanding of what I need from my devices. And I have them. And I've had them for a while. To me, I think maybe iPhone OS, iOS. It used to be called iPhone OS, by the way. So that wasn't a flub. But the iPhone, to me, was running optimally since maybe iOS 14, maybe. I remember iOS 14 brought widgets, and I was like, neat. And now you can engage with those widgets. Neat. I'm good. Like, I'm a happy customer. I'm not bored either, just by any means. I'm appreciative of what's now there. And Apple seems to be, not that they're taking their time off of these devices, because they're great. They're just marginal upgrades every year as needed. But they're now extremely focused on AI and what that means. And I think I'm excited just as well. But I will cover that over in my next video that comes out. I really hope when I'm editing that video that there's no errors or something I don't like and I scrap that one and I have to film again, because then that will be the third time I'm filming the Apple Intelligence, and I hope I don't have to do that. But I will say that I am looking forward to AI for iPhone and just the ecosystem, but not for the reasons you may think. That's called a cliffhanger. I am now trying to get you to get ready for that content, so we will talk about that more. I'm going to wrap it up here now. This is quick, great. There will most likely be another Tech is Art podcast. Hopefully not before the next video that comes out, but if not, like, you're going to see a lot more of these. They're no longer this platform or this type of content here is evolving where it's not just going to be a companion podcast to the videos I make for that week, but I think I will make them their own individual things as well. Meaning it will still be a companion piece, as well as I will just do longer form deep dives onto something. That's probably what's going to work best for me for now, going forward, while still getting the information out. So if you're still rocking with me, man, then hey, hit that subscribe button, get your boy to 1,000 subs, get me monetized. Let's go. I think I almost got all the watch hours. I think I'll have to re-verify, but I'm getting close to where I can start unlocking things with channel memberships and super chats and stuff like that. And when that happens, I'll do live streams and engage more with the community as it was always meant to be. All right. That's it for now. I will see you guys when I see you, but I'm not going away. I will just be releasing more this. All right. I'm out. Bye.